Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another FIFA 22 video where today we're going to be doing an updated version of the 4-2-2. Now these are some absolute super juice tactics. Now the 4-2-2 tactics that I was using before weren't working as effectively as maybe they had done. Obviously this game gets patched to death all the time, so obviously you kind of have to keep changing your tactics and keep tweaking things. And the ones I was using before were not quite working as effective. I was just finding myself in a couple of situations wasn't quite being as effective as it had been. So these are some updated ones that I have now been using. So here are the tactics that I'm using. Generally, I've just gone back to something very, very simple, very, very basic. I've taken the press off and I'm just using balanced on the defensive style. That's definitely helped massively. Playing on a press in this formation isn't super effective. Really, you want to stay on balanced. There are quite a lot of spaces, especially in the attacking areas. So there's a lot of space for your opponents to play the ball. So using a press doesn't work. There's not enough players forward to get an effective press. The middle of the pitch is always open. So you can't really get anyone tight on those midfielders. So playing on a press doesn't really work. And in terms of the width, we've gone back to 50. I was playing on around about 60. It kind of just tells me why I never change my width off of 50. I just think anything less than 50 doesn't work. Anything more than 50 doesn't work. I think 50 is just the number that works with all formations. I've also brought the depth back slightly. I was playing on 65. It was thinking like 68 or something on this formation that I was using before. I brought it back to 60 because I was finding, and especially as the cycle comes to an end in FIFA, everybody's teams now are just super juiced. You kind of have to be really careful with how high you go with your depth. You can't leave too much space. And with this being already quite an attacking formation, in the sense that there's quite a lot of space, especially when I go forwards, you end up can leave some space when you're countering because there's not the players. It's just the way the formation sets up doesn't leave too many options back to defend in the midfield. So you've got to be really careful with your depth. In terms of the build-up play, I've gone back to slow build-up. I was using long ball. I don't think it's super effective for this formation. I think it can work, but I find slow build-up works super well. I find playing the tiki-taka, which we've paired it with possession. This is for people who like to obviously play and control the games like me. This is kind of my bread and butter. You know, I like to control games. I like to have most of the possession. I don't play well when I try and force the ball really fast up the field and quick counter attacks and, you know, long through balls. That's not really the way I like to play. I like to control the games. I like to have most of the possession. I like to dominate the game and really dictate how the game is played. And that really suits me. And that really suits this formation. If you're someone that likes to ping counter attacks and lob the ball forward and things like that, it doesn't really work in this formation, I find. I find this formation is far better for those people that want to play tiki-taka, those people that want to control the game, those people that want to have more time, more possession on the ball, because you do have a big gap, especially in front of the defensive midfielders. You don't have like a central cam to link everything up. That area of the pitch, so your opponent's defensive midfielders, whether it's one or two, whether he's playing with two defensive mids, they're always open because you never have anybody on them. So they just get loads of time and space on the ball. So you may as well play very, very calm, slowly on the ball and not force the ball forwards, because you're just gonna leave to easy counter attacks with that position being open to your opponents. In terms of the offensive width, I brought this down to 60. I was playing on 75. Even though the cams are going to drift, they were drifting sometimes a little bit too wide and almost out of the game. So I kind of just had two strikers to do all my attacking, and obviously two strikers against anywhere from 4 to 7 defenders is just not an odds game you're going to win. So I've gone to 60, so they're not drifting too far wide, and players in the box on 6. And in terms of the instructions, now naturally, actually Son should be playing up top. I'm not quite sure why Bellingham's there. I managed to get informed Son out of the 84 player pick yesterday, which is amazing. So I got him up top with Lewandowski. Now, the one change that I've made up here is I did have both of my strikers previously were on stay forward. And I think this was where a lot of my problems were coming from when I was using this formation before. Because these guys are on stay forward, it means that your players are on top of your opponent's centre backs. So if you're playing a press, obviously they're going to be able to press more effectively because they're already there. The problem was there was a massive disconnect between my midfield and my attack in this formation. So I was always having to play 25, 30 yard passes to link up from the midfield to the strikers. So having them on stay forward just didn't work. I think having them on balanced, making sure they come back and go forwards, the defense, the mid, the whole team shifts forwards and backs at the same time. I think leaving some players on stay forward, some players coming back on defense, just having that mixture, I don't find works for me, especially as someone who likes to control the game. Other than that, having them on stay central and getting behind, it works super well. The two DMs, I've gone back to having these guys on the traditional cut passing lanes, stay back, cover center. Before I had these guys on balanced attack, but now I think that we have the two strikers coming back and being balanced on the defensive support. You can let these guys be on stay back because it's obviously now a lot more balanced. So the strikers are coming back a little bit deeper to receive the ball off the midfielders. So it just helps in terms of that link up play, that missing link, especially when sometimes the cams were drifting out wide. And obviously the two DMs were there and then the strikers were staying forward. A lot of the time my DMs had nobody to pass the ball to. So obviously bringing everyone back a little bit closer together and mixing that in with the slow build up, the possession, being able to dictate the games is just going to allow a lot more control in the game. And then in terms of the defenders, of course, the back four's all going to be on stay back while attacking in this position. You can potentially try the fullbacks on balance. I don't think it's as effective going with your fullbacks on balance in a 4-back formation because generally you obviously only have two defenders back. Obviously, when I put my fullbacks on balance when I'm playing a 5-back formation or something like that, you still have 3 centre-backs to call on to be able to obviously deal with any danger. But I think if you let your fullbacks go forward in a back 4, especially with the calibre of people that are still playing the game and the calibre of teams that people have nowadays, it can generally lead to a lot more trouble than maybe it's worth. Obviously, it'll make you a little bit better effectively offensively, but I think now with the way that we've changed this formation up, we've changed it to more of a controlling formation. You don't need those bombing fullbacks on anymore because we're not playing that super aggressive style now. We're gone back to playing the more sort of controlled, measured game, which is going to allow us obviously to control the game a lot better. And obviously Van der Sar is going to be on comes crosses and sweeper keeper. So that is it for the tactics for the 4-2-2. This is how I think this formation should be played. I don't think this is a formation that you can play super gung-ho, super attacking, you know, lots of counter-attacks, lots of through balls over the top, because I think there is a lot of space, especially in key areas. We keep mentioning, as you can see in the 4-2-2, the space between Lewandowski, Son, Vieira and Desai, where a central cam would normally be, that's where your opponent's DMs are going to be. So they're constantly open. So there's no point obviously trying to press, trying to play fast, because those guys, whenever they get the ball, you're just going to have to drag people out of position. And then it just allows your opponent to obviously play around you in those situations. So you really got to be careful not to play something too aggressive with this formation. That's why I think this is the best way to play. Gone back to playing it this more controlled way, and it is so effective. It's absolutely the best way I'd recommend to play the 4-2-2. So that is it for today's video, guys. So if you do enjoy, make sure you drop a thumbs up. If you do want to tweet us any questions, Twitter is down in the description, so make sure you do check that out and follow us over there. And make sure you do subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. But that's all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.